Today we're looking at some ideas about factors of multiples of 100. That might sound a little confusing. So let's think about what a multiple of 100 is. A multiple of 100 is when you multiply 100 by the counting numbers. So 100 times 1 is 100. 100 times 2 is 200. 100 times 3 is 300, etc. It's also another way of skip counting. So I could count by 100s, 100, 200, 300, 400, right? Just like your warm-ups that you've been doing, where you skip count with numbers. These are some ideas about the factors of those numbers. So a multiple of 200, for example, of 100 is 200. So if I said, okay, we need to list all the factors of 200, which we did yesterday, what do we know about those factors? What do we see that's the same? So here are some interesting thoughts about factors of multiples of 100. So what we're going to do is go through them, and then when you're done with me, then you'll go back and write an example of it. So let's look at the first one. The highest factor of a hundreds number is itself. The highest factor of a hundreds number is itself. So let's pick a hundreds number, 300. The highest factor, so if I were to list all of the factors of 300, the highest number would be 300. And that makes sense because you could multiply 1 times 300. So when you go back and write your example, you'll click next to this, and then you can write the highest factor of 300 is 300 because 1 times 300 is a factor pair, or 300. I mean, this concept makes perfect sense. It's probably just not something that we would think about unless it's brought up to you. So this idea makes good sense. So here's the example for it. All right, the next one says, if you double factors of 100, you get factors of 200. Okay, so think of the word double. What operation can we do to double a number? Well, there's a couple of things you could do. You could multiply it by 2. So if I wanted to double the number 5, I could multiply it by 2. 5 times 2 is 10. If I double 5, I get 10. I could also add. I could add it to itself. So if I wanted to double 5, I could add 5 plus 5 and get 10. Okay, so there's a couple of ways you could do it. So let's think of doubling the factors of 100. You get the factors of 200. So let's just pick a factor of 100. Well, one factor of 100 is 10, because I know I can multiply 10 times 10 and get 100. So there's one factor. If I double that, so I'm going to multiply it by 2, or I could add 10, I will get 20. Is 20 a factor of 200? In other words, can I multiply 20 times another number to get 200? Well, yeah. So I can multiply 20 times 10, and that equals 200. Interesting, right? If you double the factors of 100, you get factors of 200. So that's true. So your example could be written like this, just showing the work. Pick another number, another factor of 100. Even if you need to go back to the slides from yesterday where you found all the factors of 100, use one of those, or you can probably just think of one. Okay, here's the next one. There are a lot of 5s in the factors of hundreds numbers, 5, 35, 50. Write your example here. So that's pretty basic. There are a lot of 5s in the factors of hundreds numbers. So I'm going to pick a factor of 100. Let's do one that I haven't done. Let's do 30. 30 is a factor. Oops, it's not a factor of 100. Let's not do that one. Let's do 25. 25 is, because I can multiply 25 times 4 and get 100. Now, it doesn't have to be 100 exactly. It said hundreds numbers. So those are the multiples of 100. So you could pick a bigger number than that too. And it says there's a lot of 5s in the factors of hundreds numbers. Well, look, I picked 25, and for sure, even just in the number, it has a 5. Also, to get 25, I could multiply 5 times 5. Yep, there's a lot of 5s in there. Go ahead, and when you're done with this, you'll pick another factor of a hundreds number and show all the 5s involved in it. Okay, and then the last idea about factors of multiples of 100, if you take the zeros off a 100 number, you get one of its factors. Okay, I want to go to a bigger 100 number. Let's try 500. If I take the zeros off the number, you get one of its factors. So I'm going to go ahead and I wrote 500. I'm going to put equals. I'm going to take those zeros off. What will it leave me? The number 5. Is 5 a factor of 500? Yes, it is. That's so crazy, isn't that? So how do I show that 5 is a factor of 100? What can I multiply 5 by to get 500? I meant 500 before, excuse me. I can multiply 5 times 100. And yep, it sure does work out. Okay, so what you're going to do now is go back to the slide. Well, you're on the slide already when you're done listening to this, and fill in examples to prove that these are true. All right, guys, go for it.